A few years ago, I asked my brother to help out while I recovered from surgery. He moved into our guest room, took care of errands, drove my wife to her appointments. Everyone called him a lifesaver. I agreed, until I came home early one day and found his shoes by our bed. He said, "I didn't plan this, but she deserves to be happy." What I said in response, that's when the power shift began. And that's the part they didn't see coming. I used to think family was a safe zone. No matter how messy life got, health, money, work, family was where you healed, where you rested. So when I was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition 3 years ago, I did the obvious thing. I called my brother. He was the charming one, the golden boy, athletic, funny, good with people. Me? I was the planner, the quiet one. I built my life around stability, a house, a partner, a steady career in IT. But when your body turns on you, none of that matters. You become a schedule of medications, scans, specialists, flare-ups, and long silences. My wife, Emily, tried to hold things together at first, but I could see it was draining her. She stopped sleeping, stopped smiling. She was burning out, and I was too sick to help. So when my brother offered to move in and be an extra set of hands, it felt like a gift. He made it look easy. Groceries were stocked. The house was clean. He brought takeout and dumb jokes and new energy. He even got along with Emily. Maybe too well, in hindsight. But I didn't see it then. I was too grateful and too tired to notice the way her shoulders relaxed around him, the way she laughed more when he was near. It felt like a good thing. I mean, what kind of person gets jealous of their own brother for helping? Still, little things started to poke at me. A cup of coffee made just how she used to make mine, now handed to him without thought. A shared Spotify playlist I didn't recognize. An inside joke I wasn't part of. But every time the thought crossed my mind, I crushed it. Don't be paranoid. You're recovering. You need them. Then I started hearing what other people were saying. I saw your wife at the farmer's market. Your brother was carrying all her bags. They looked so happy together. I didn't know they were that close. I'd laugh it off, shrug, pretend it didn't sting. But the truth? I felt like a guest in my own marriage. Like the sick roommate in the back room, while the real couple ran the house. Still, I told myself it was temporary, just until I got better. And eventually, I did. I started working again, got back on my feet. But by then, something had shifted. She didn't flinch when he touched her arm. He didn't hide the way he looked at her. And I started dreading walking into my own kitchen. What I didn't know then was that the worst betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was logistical. Because behind my back, while I was focused on healing, they'd already made plans. And I was the last to find out. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not the peaceful kind. The loaded kind, like a room just after an argument. No music. No kitchen noise. No Netflix background hum. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of our neighbor's wind chime. I stepped into the hallway with my bag still slung over my shoulder. The clinic had released me early. The new meds were working better than expected, and my doctor said, "Go home. Rest. Surprise your wife." So I did. Except it didn't feel like I was surprising my wife. It felt like I was intruding. I walked past the hallway mirror and caught a glimpse of myself. Pale, worn out, 10 pounds lighter. Like someone who had just clawed their way out of survival mode. I should have been happy to be home. Instead, I felt off. Then I saw them. At the top of the stairs, outside our bedroom door, sat a pair of sneakers. Not mine. Size 12, Nike, a faint orange stain on the side, barbecue sauce, probably. I froze. My brother's shoes. I took one more step up and felt the pressure build behind my eyes. My chest tightened. My body was still weak from weeks of inflammation and steroids. But this was a different kind of tension. Our bedroom door was slightly ajar. The bed was unmade. That alone wasn't strange. But the way it was unmade, like someone had rolled out of it recently. The top blanket bunched at the foot, pillows half pushed aside. And then, the bathroom door opened. He stepped out in a towel. Hair damp, chest bare, his phone in one hand, toothbrush in the other. He stopped cold when he saw me. We stared at each other in silence. Time folded in on itself. He didn't flinch. He didn't stutter. He just said casually, "You're home early." My throat felt like sandpaper. "What are you doing in my bedroom?" He shrugged. "Emily said I could shower. I was just helping clean up." "Using our bathroom?" He smiled like he was trying to disarm me. "Come on, man. Don't make it weird. You know I've been staying over a lot. I ran this morning. I was sweaty. It's not a big deal." He always had this ability to normalize anything with tone alone. He could say, "I borrowed your car," or "I kissed your wife," with the same easy cadence. Like you'd be a jerk to make it serious. I looked around, noticed a second mug on the nightstand, his cologne on the dresser, a hoodie draped over the back of my reading chair, not mine. These weren't flukes. These were residues. Markers of presence. Patterns. Habits. "Where's Emily?" I asked. "She went to get groceries." I nodded. "Right. Of course." The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was charged, like we both knew something was being decided, and neither of us wanted to say it first. "I didn't plan this," he said suddenly. "But she deserves to be happy." Something inside me dropped. Not exploded. Not shattered. Just sank. Because that wasn't an apology. That wasn't even an admission. That was a statement. A line drawn. I nodded slowly. "Yeah," I said. "She does." Then I walked downstairs. Calm. Robotic. Like if I made it to the kitchen without collapsing, maybe the world would reset. But it didn't. That was no conversation. That was a transition. I just didn't know yet to what. My mother set the table like it was a holiday. Fancy napkins. Real silverware. Candles. We hadn't done that in years, not since Dad died. But tonight, it was just a nice dinner. Her words. Her smile. Her choreography. My wife brought out the salad, laughing at something my brother said. He was already seated, sleeves rolled up, beer in hand, looking effortlessly at home. They moved around each other like seasoned dance partners. Small touches, shared glances, unspoken rhythm, and I sat down last, at the far end, across from my brother, diagonal from my wife. It wasn't the arrangement I was used to. She always used to sit next to me. We talked. About nothing, mostly. The weather. A new bakery. How well the hydrangeas were blooming. I nodded. Smiled. Ate the grilled chicken I didn't taste. My brother told a story about how he and Emily tried to fix the garage light together last week. Apparently, hilarity ensued. My mom laughed loudest. She was covered in dust, he said, grinning. Looked like she'd come out of a war zone. Emily smiled shyly. Well, I was the one who fixed it, technically. Oh, please, he said, winking. I held the ladder. Everyone chuckled. Except me. I didn't know you two were spending so much time in the garage, I said flatly. Silence. Sharp. Instant. Emily shifted. It was just the one time. You were resting. My mother chimed in, trying to ease the tension. She's been doing so much, honey. You're lucky she's so handy. Then she added, without looking up. And your brother's been a godsend. I don't know what we would have done without him. My brother raised his glass toward me. Just doing what I can. I stared at my plate. It wasn't just what they were saying. It was the ease. The way they framed it like I should be thankful. Like I should be ashamed for being suspicious. I set down my fork. I came home early last week. Neither of you mentioned it. Emily blinked. We didn't think it mattered. You were in my room. Jack, she said gently. He was just using the bathroom. You know our guest one was clogged. I looked at my brother. He didn't flinch. You're reading too much into this, man. Then my mom. Sweetheart, you've been under a lot of stress. Maybe. And that's when I realized what this dinner was. Not a reunion. Not a family gesture. This was containment. They were trying to preempt something. To make me question myself before I questioned them. Gaslight 101. I pushed back from the table. I'm not hungry. Emily reached out. Jack, please don't do this again. Again? You're isolating yourself, she continued. We're all just trying to support you. Support. That word twisted. I nodded slowly, stood, and left the room. I didn't yell. Didn't accuse. I just walked down the hall, into the backyard, and sat in the dark with a drink in my hand and a knot in my throat. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was being dramatic. Overthinking. Jealous. Or maybe I was watching my world get rewritten in real time, and being told I was crazy for noticing. I started thinking maybe I was imagining it. Until that night. The tablet was in the laundry room. Old. Scratched. Half dead. Emily used it during her yoga phase. Back when she followed meditation playlists and read ebooks with titles like Boundaries Are Love. I only noticed it because it buzzed when I dropped a sock on it. One notification. Backup complete. I nearly walked away. But something, instinct, maybe, made me pick it up. I charged it. Turned it on. Her old account was still logged in. No lock screen. Just open. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. Messages. Group chats. Nothing explosive at first. Just grocery lists. Memes, a weirdly flirty comment from my brother in a thread titled Morning Chaos LOL. But then I found a private thread. Just the two of them. The first message I read was 2 years old. Did he take the news okay? My brother had written. Emily replied, he's numb. I think he's still trying to be strong. Next message. I hate seeing you like this. You deserve more. My stomach turned. Maybe it was just emotional support. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. So I kept reading. The next few months were like watching a slow-motion betrayal unfold. At first, harmless. Then emotional. Then unmistakably romantic. A photo of takeout, captioned, dinner for two, recovery boy asleep downstairs. Heart emojis. Inside jokes that span days. References to things I hadn't seen, hadn't heard, hadn't lived. Then the one that made me stop breathing. He's so focused on getting better. I don't think he even notices how distant we've gotten. And the reply. That's because he's not your person anymore. I dropped the tablet. Sat on the edge of the laundry sink, head in my hands. The room tilted. My pulse roared in my ears. But I wasn't done. I went back in. Started screenshotting everything. And then, I found the planning phase. 3 months before my discharge, she wrote, do you think we should tell him before his birthday? Or wait until after? He replied, after. Let him have that. One last good memory. I had to reread that twice. Let me have that? Like I was dying. Like my birthday, the one she was planning a simple dinner for, was some kind of mercy gift before the guillotine dropped. I'd been sleeping under the same roof as two people who were scheduling my emotional execution. The worst part? They talked about it like they were helping me. Like this was some kind of kind, clean break. I know it's going to hurt him, she wrote. But we'll be gentle. We'll still be in his life, he answered. He just needs time. I felt sick. Not metaphorically. I actually had to rush to the bathroom and throw up. My hands were shaking as I backed up the thread. Transferred everything to my drive. Locked it behind a password. I didn't even know why yet. I just knew. This wasn't about feelings anymore. This was strategy. Framing. Reputation management. They weren't just close. They were plotting how to replace me. I met up with Marcus at our usual coffee place. We'd known each other since college. He was one of the few people who hadn't vanished when I got sick. While everyone else started with keep us posted and ended with silence, Marcus kept showing up, random check-ins, dumb memes, bad takeout on bad days. So when I texted him, can we talk? Just you and me, he responded in under 2 minutes. He got there first. 2 coffees already waiting. I slid into the booth and pulled out my phone. Read this, I said. He scrolled and scrolled. His face went from curious to confused to stone cold. By the time he reached the he deserves one last good memory part, he looked nauseous. Dude, he said finally. This is, wow. Are you okay? No. He set the phone down like it was radioactive. Listen, I didn't know it was this serious. I mean, yeah, people were talking, but... I leaned forward. Talking how? He hesitated. I figured you knew. Knew what? He looked around. Dropped his voice. There's been stories. Going around. My jaw clenched. What kind of stories? Marcus sighed. That you were cold. Distant. Controlling. Like, during your illness. Emily said she felt isolated. That you didn't want her going out. That you snapped at her a lot. I blinked. I couldn't even stand up without help. I begged her to take time for herself. I encouraged her to go out. I know that. But, Jack, they framed it like emotional neglect. The words hit like ice water. I wasn't just being replaced. I was being discredited, systematically. I sat back, shaking my head. Who believes that? Marcus didn't answer. Which told me everything. How long has this been going on? A few months. It ramped up around your birthday, I think. Of course. After the last good memory. He tapped the table. To be honest, I thought you guys were in trouble long before that. She and your brother. I mean, they looked close. But everyone assumed you knew. That it was, like, a weird understanding. I laughed. A bitter, dry sound. A weird understanding. That my wife and my brother were emotionally, and apparently physically, inseparable, and I was just what? In the way? Jack. I cut him off. You think I would have stayed silent if I knew? No, I don't. He looked genuinely ashamed. I didn't want to assume. And once Emily said you were struggling mentally, I figured maybe it was more complicated than I understood. There it was. Struggling mentally. A soft way of saying unreliable witness. I had been sick, yes, but not delusional. And now they were rewriting my timeline. retrofitting their betrayal with justifications, emotional alibis. And worst of all, people believed them. Because I'd been quiet. Because I didn't post. Didn't vent. Didn't fight back. Until now. Do you have screenshots? Marcus asked. Yes. Good. Don't let them twist this. I looked at him. They already did. He nodded slowly, like someone who realizes he's been complicit just by listening to the wrong people too long. And me? I realized something too. They had cast me as the villain, before I even knew there was a script. I made an appointment with a lawyer the next morning. Not a divorce lawyer. Not yet. Just a quiet professional. Someone who could explain what happened to my accounts while I was busy surviving. Her name was Rachel. Late 40s. Sharp. No small talk. I handed her a folder of printed statements and said, I think my wife and my brother might have misused my finances. I just want clarity. She didn't blink. Clarity we can do. We spent the next 2 hours combing through records. Some I'd seen before, standard utilities, shared credit cards, groceries. But Rachel was focused. She noticed patterns I'd missed. Here, she said, highlighting a transaction. This is a rental deposit. Large. To a second-party account. Not your name. I frowned. Is it her friend's? She pulled the full routing trail. No. It's in your brother's name. I blinked. Wait. He doesn't even have a job. Rachel nodded. You paid it. From your joint account. 4 months ago. I felt my throat tighten. They told me he was couch surfing. She kept scrolling. Here's another. Furniture purchases. Same card. My voice went quiet. So I paid for my brother's apartment. She turned the screen toward me. Technically, yes. But that wasn't the worst part. She tapped again. And this? Airbnb in upstate New York. Booked during a week you were hospitalized. Guest names. Emily and, she paused, your brother. I stared at the booking confirmation. 2 guests. 1 bed. I laughed. Not from humor, from the absurdity of it. Did they not think I'd ever check? Rachel leaned back. People like this don't think long-term. They think you'll either never notice or never do anything about it. She slid me a notepad. Start documenting everything. Screenshots, receipts, messages. Time-stamped, organized. I nodded mechanically. Also, she added, don't confront them yet. Let them keep believing you're passive. That gives us time to work. Passive. That word hit harder than I expected. Because that's what I'd been, wasn't it? Passive during the illness. Passive during the drift. Passive when they laughed together at dinner. While I was trying to heal, they were building a new life. On my credit, Rachel stood. I can refer you to a forensic accountant if you want to go deeper. But this is enough for leverage. If things escalate, they already have. She looked me in the eye. Then get ready to take back control. I walked out into the afternoon sunlight with a folder full of betrayal and a gut full of something sharper than anger. I wasn't just cheated on. I was used. They hadn't just taken love. They'd taken access. To my bank. To my home. To my trust. I stopped at a bench near the courthouse and pulled out my phone. Opened my drive folder. Renamed it. Paper trail, do not delete. Because while I was learning to walk again, they were on vacation. With my money. I invited him to meet at the old basketball court behind our high school. Neutral ground. No Emily. No parents. Just faded asphalt, crooked hoops, and ghosts from when we still liked each other. He showed up in sunglasses and a backwards cap, like he was late for a barbecue. No tension in his walk. No guilt in his eyes. Yo, he said casually. Long time. I didn't respond. Just nodded toward the bleachers. We sat down. He popped open a sports drink like we were catching up between pickup games. I waited. Finally, I said, how long has it been going on? He looked out at the court, then back at me. Define going on. I didn't blink. Don't play semantics. He sighed. Few months, I guess. You guess. He shrugged. It wasn't like we planned it. Right, I said. Except for the Airbnb. The rent. The birthday delay. The group PR campaign. Totally spontaneous. He chuckled once. Not because it was funny, but because he knew he'd been caught and didn't care. That's not what this is about, he said finally. I tilted my head. Enlighten me. He turned to me, sunglasses off now. You were gone, man. Not physically, emotionally. Emily was lonely. I was here. We connected. It happens. I bit the inside of my cheek hard enough to taste blood. You connected, I repeated. Yeah, he said. And honestly, she seems lighter now. Happier. I closed my eyes and opened them with clarity. Was any of it real? The help? The support? Moving in just to pitch in? Of course it was. I did a lot for you. For me, I echoed. Right. He sipped his drink. I wanted to scream. To punch him. To drag him through every screenshot and receipt and show him what betrayal looks like. But I didn't. Instead, I asked, do you feel bad? That actually made him pause. He set the bottle down. Looked at me. I didn't plan this. But yeah, sometimes I feel bad. Other times, I think maybe this was meant to happen. Meant to happen. Like love was a bus route, and I'd simply gotten off at the wrong stop so he could take my seat. I lost years to that illness, I said. I fought for my life. And for her. And you. I stepped in where you left a void, he snapped. You think she was happy? You think she wanted a husband who flinched when the doorbell rang? Who couldn't drive her to dinner? Who? I stood. So did he. You want to play the savior? I said, voice low. Fine. Be the hero in your own version. Just don't forget who paid for the cape. He sneered. You always thought you were smarter. Better. Maybe that's why she stopped looking at you the way she used to. I didn't flinch. Didn't blink. I just smiled. Because finally, I saw him clearly. Not the brother who helped me build forts. Not the guy who visited me in the hospital. Just another man who saw weakness and called it an opportunity. I'm done, I said simply. He raised an eyebrow. With what? With pretending you're family. And I walked away. No yelling. No threats. Just footsteps echoing on cracked pavement. To them, I was just a phase, a sick, silent inconvenience. But the thing about phases? They end. The meeting room was small but formal. Neutral decor. Legal-grade coffee. Frosted windows. I reserved it through Rachel's firm. She knew exactly what I needed. 2 chairs on one side. One on the other. A screen. A projector. A folder marked Financial Review. I arrived 10 minutes early. Set the files in order. Everything neat. Timed. Controlled. At 10:01, Emily walked in. No eye contact. No makeup. Hoodie over her dress. She looked like she hadn't slept. At 10:02, my brother followed. Still smug. Still tan. Still oblivious. Why are we here? She asked. Voice thin. I just want clarity, I said. You both said this wasn't malicious. That you didn't mean to hurt me. So let's clear that up, officially. My lawyer, Rachel, entered at 10:03. She nodded to me, handed out copies, and began calmly. Today's meeting is for transparency purposes only. We are not filing claims, yet. I watched their eyes scan the folder. Item 1. Rental payments to a third-party account in his name. Item 2. Joint funds used for vacation housing, Airbnb logs. Item 3. Credit card purchases for furniture never delivered to our house. Then the messages. Rachel clicked the projector on. On screen. Let him have that. One last good memory. Emily inhaled sharply. My brother cursed under his breath. You went through my stuff? She asked. No, I said. Your device was backed up. Automatically. I just looked. My brother leaned forward. So what? This is revenge porn now. Rachel raised her hand. We are within legal rights to audit any transaction made from a shared account. Messaging evidence is time-stamped, admissible, and supported by financial correlation. He looked like he wanted to throw something. Instead, he laughed. You're pathetic. Emily turned to him. Stop. He stared. You're defending him now? She didn't answer. Just kept reading. And I watched it hit her. The full scope. The overlap. The fact that she hadn't been smart. She'd been used, too, just more slowly. I didn't know about the Airbnb charges, she whispered. He flinched. I told you I was covering it. You used his card, she said, barely audible. And just like that, cracks formed in their little alliance. I sat back. Said nothing. Let the evidence speak. Let the timeline reconstruct itself, detail by ugly detail. Rachel closed her folder. We can stop here for now. Jack will take time to decide whether to pursue financial or reputational recourse. You'll both receive notice if that changes. They stood. He muttered something. Emily didn't look at me. But just before they reached the door, it opened again, and in walked my mother. They froze. She didn't smile. Didn't hug anyone. Just set her purse down, took one of the spare folders from the table, and said, I think I need to see everything, too. My brother's face went pale. Emily looked like she might cry. I kept my eyes on the wall, because they weren't ready for this. But one unexpected guest at that meeting changed everything. No one said a word for at least 30 seconds. My mother sat down slowly, adjusted her reading glasses, and opened the folder like it was a church bulletin. She didn't look at my brother. Didn't look at Emily. She just read. Page after page. No emotion. No commentary. Until she reached the messages. Her hand tightened slightly on the paper. Then relaxed. Then tightened again. My brother cleared his throat. You don't need to be here, Mom. She raised a hand. A gentle wave that shut him down instantly. Still no words. Emily fidgeted. Her voice cracked. We didn't mean for things to get this far. My mother turned the page. But they did. My brother scoffed. This is between us. You're not involved. That made her look up. Right at him. Her voice was cold. You moved into his house. Slept with his wife. Spent his money. And lied to everyone. Including me. He opened his mouth. Don't, she snapped. That was new. My mother had always coddled him. He was the baby. The charmer. The one who could do no wrong. Until now. She turned to Emily. And you? You cried in my kitchen for weeks. Said he was pushing you away. That you were carrying this marriage alone. Emily looked down. I was scared. No, my mother said. You were dishonest. You framed my son so you could rewrite the story. Tears welled up in Emily's eyes. I didn't know he'd show all this. My mother's eyes narrowed. You didn't think he could. She stood, closed the folder, then looked at me. And for the first time in over a year, she really looked at me. Not with pity, not with judgment, with something closer to shame, but not directed at me. I'm sorry, she said. I believed them. I let them paint you as bitter, difficult, broken. Her voice cracked. I should have known better. I swallowed hard. I didn't expect you to come. I almost didn't, she said. Until I saw the messages you sent me last night. I couldn't sleep after that. She looked at my brother. You always wanted what he built, but you never wanted to build it yourself. He didn't respond. Didn't even try. Emily reached for the door. I think I should go. No one stopped her. She left without another word. My brother followed 2 minutes later, slower, angrier, but silent. Then it was just me and my mom. We sat there for a long time, the hum of the overhead lights the only sound. Finally, she said, what are you going to do? I don't know yet, I admitted. She nodded. Whatever it is, I'll support it. That sentence hit harder than I expected. Support. Not sympathy. Not guilt. Just a mother, finally standing next to her son instead of above him. I didn't cry. Not yet. But something heavy unclenched in my chest. We left the office together. She offered me a ride. I said no, wanted the walk. Needed the quiet. Because this wasn't over. Validation is powerful. But validation isn't victory. Not yet. I didn't name names. Not once. No screenshots with contact photos. No rage posts. No all caps breakdowns. Just the story. Told plainly. Reverse chronological. Clean layout. Timeline included. I bought a domain for it. Wrote a long-form post titled, How to Disappear from a Story You Built. Published at 3:17 a.m. The text began with one sentence. This isn't about revenge, it's about sequence. I included scanned documents, redacted bank statements, metadata tracked photos, and quotes from messages. Each event anchored by dates. Each name replaced with roles. Brother, wife, mother, lawyer, friend. I let readers do what they always do, assemble. Within hours, shares spiked. Someone on Reddit reposted the intro under r/true off my chest. Twitter picked it up next. By noon, I had 11,000 visitors and 3 podcast requests. One user commented, pretty sure I know who this is. His brother used to be my spin instructor. Damn. Another said, this is the most surgical takedown I've ever seen. Zero aggression. Just facts. And then, quietly, the dominoes began to fall. Emily's business page, where she sold mindful coaching sessions and posted aesthetic quotes, locked down comments after someone linked to a mirrored archive of the site with the words, still teaching emotional honesty? My brother's Instagram, previously a shrine to shirtless selfies and men's mental health, lost over 3,000 followers in 2 days. Mutual friends started texting me. Holy shit, that was them. Why didn't you ever say anything? I'm sorry for believing their version. I feel like a fucking idiot. One even wrote, I wish I had your restraint. I would have burned everything down. But restraint was the point. This wasn't rage. This was record keeping. Emily messaged me once. Just one sentence. You didn't have to humiliate us. I didn't reply. Because humiliation wasn't the goal. Silence was. That's what neither of them could handle. Not the loss of love. Not even the loss of control. But the absence of narrative. They wanted to define me. But now I had documented everything. And left. I didn't stick around for apologies. Didn't wait for them to process. didn't take comfort in their discomfort. I simply reclaimed the story. And the beauty of stories is this. Once people read the truth, they can't unknow it. They'll look at him differently now. They'll see her pauses in conversation and wonder what she's leaving out. They'll hear, "It was complicated," and remember my timestamps. I didn't burn the house down. I just turned the lights on. And now, they can't fill the silence I left behind. 9 months later, my house feels like mine again. The guest room is empty. The kitchen quiet. No more mismatched coffee mugs left on the counter. No cologne in the upstairs bathroom. Just stillness. I kept the place. Bought out her share with the help of Rachel. Sold a few things. Repainted others. Not to erase them, but to unanchor myself. You'd be amazed how many ghosts live in furniture. My brother moved out of state. Or so I've heard. No contact. No apology. Just digital absence. Emily sent 2 emails. One was a list of items she might come back for. The other said she hoped we could find peace. I didn't respond to either. Some people think healing means forgiving. Sometimes it means moving so far past it, the wound no longer defines you. I don't tell the story out loud much. Not because I'm ashamed, but because I don't need to relive it. It's archived now. Documented. Owned. Some nights I still walk past the mirror in the hall and see that version of me. Pale, thinner, haunted by quiet betrayals. He doesn't scare me anymore. He reminds me that survival isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's spreadsheets, and silence, and learning to drink coffee alone without bitterness. My mother calls once a week now. She doesn't bring up the others. She just says things like, "How's your Monday?" Or, "I made that stew you used to like." It's not everything, but it's something. I started writing again. Not blogs, real writing. Fiction, short pieces, about people who lose things and still walk forward. Some of them are angry. Some of them laugh too hard. But none of them look back hoping to change what can't be undone. I don't date much. Not yet. But I smile at strangers again. Sometimes that's enough. One time, someone who recognized the blog emailed me. Said, "You could have gone scorched earth. Instead, you went surgical." That's what made it land. I didn't reply, but I bookmarked it. Because some days, you forget the strength it took not to explode. Some days, you forget what it cost to stay quiet long enough to be heard. And now? Now I wake up, brew 1 cup of coffee, and drink it on the porch. No noise. No pacing. No heavy footsteps upstairs. Just the breeze, the dog next door, and the steady heartbeat of a life that belongs to me again. I still have the folder, paper trail, do not delete. But I haven't opened it in weeks. Because the truth already did its job, and I don't need it to hurt anymore. To know that I won.